You're listening to Kilmar Ábrego García Pleads Not Guilty to Human Smuggling Charges, a news story written by Maria Sacchetti and Steve Thompson, and read by an AI-generated voice. Nashville, Tennessee, lawyers for a wrongly deported Maryland man on Friday tried to poke holes in allegations that he helped smuggle thousands of migrants across the United States, sharply questioning a federal agent about informants, two with serious criminal histories, whose testimony helped secure the indictment. Kilmar Ábrego García, 29, appeared to be listening carefully through headphones to a translation of the hearing. His wife, Jennifer Vasquez Sura, and other supporters watched the proceedings. It was the first time she'd been in the same room as her husband since he was deported to El Salvador in March, and the Supreme Court ordered the government to facilitate his return. Dressed in red and orange jail scrubs, Abrego Garcia smiled at Vasquez Sura and his mother and a brother when he appeared before Magistrate Judge Barbara Holmes. The hearing, which began Friday morning, ended in the late afternoon without a decision on whether Abrego Garcia will be released pending trial. Holmes said she planned to issue a written decision sooner rather than later. It marked the first opportunity for Abrego Garcia to defend himself in court to accusations from the Trump administration after it deported him to his native El Salvador in violation of an immigration judge's order in 2019 that barred his deportation to that country based on a likelihood that he would face persecution from gangs there. Defense lawyers said Abrego Garcia had been read the charges against him word for word in Spanish. Asked by Holmes if he understood, he said he did. Entiendo, he said, Spanish for I understand. He pleaded not guilty. His dark hair, which was shaved after he landed in El Salvador, had grown back, and he had a freshly trimmed goatee. His mother wiped tears. His wife, dressed in a long black dress, held a white tissue. Abrego Garcia was returned from El Salvador last week to face the smuggling charges after President Donald Trump and his allies for weeks resisted court orders, including by the Supreme Court, to bring him back. Lawyers for Abrego Garcia have denounced the government for filing the charges only after officials illegally deported him. Attorney General Pam Bondi and other administration officials have accused Abrego Garcia of being a hardened criminal with gang ties, alleging in court files that he was one of the prolific smugglers in a ring that illegally transported thousands of undocumented workers across the country. His lawyers and family have denied he is involved with any gang. Abrego Garcia, who fled El Salvador as a teenager, is one of more than 200 migrants that the Trump administration deported in March to the terrorism confinement center known as CCOT, a notorious prison holding thousands of gang members. The deportations provoked multiple court battles, including over Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act, to remove migrants from both Venezuela and El Salvador. Trump officials repeatedly mocked judges' orders to return Abrego Garcia and other detainees. An indictment filed under seal last month accuses him of conspiracy to transport aliens and unlawful transportation of undocumented aliens from 2016 to 2025 as a member of the MS-13 transnational gang. If Holmes denies the government's bid to keep Abrego Garcia in custody, prosecutors said they will probably transfer him into Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody for additional proceedings in civil immigration courts, where administration officials may ask a judge to lift the 2019 order that barred his deportation to El Salvador. Prosecutors say investigators have interviewed witnesses and gathered evidence, such as cell phone records, to corroborate allegations that Abrego Garcia conspired with others in the United States and in Latin America to smuggle thousands of migrants, often driving them from the border and earning well over $1,000 a trip. Ahead of Friday's hearing, supporters of Abrego Garcia gathered with signs and U.S. flags outside of the Fred D. Thompson U.S. Courthouse and Federal Building in Nashville. Before the hearing started, Vasquez Sura said she spoke with her husband Thursday, for the first time since he was wrongly deported. Even though it was through a video screen, I was finally able to see Kilmar. Vasquez Sura, a U.S. citizen with whom Abrego Garcia is raising 3 children, said during a rally near the courthouse in Nashville on Friday. I'm grateful for everyone who has been fighting for this milestone, in this fight to bring my husband back home with our children. Vasquez Sura said their son Kilmar Jr. was attending his graduation from kindergarten in Maryland as she spoke, and that the couple should be there celebrating. And instead, my son is alone on his big day, she told gatherers at the rally. During her conversation with him, Vasquez Sura said, her husband gave her a message for those who have supported him and others whose families have been separated by deportations. He urged them to have faith and to keep praying and keep fighting, she said, that the light will come soon for all of us. At Friday's hearing, Prosecutors played footage of a November 2022 traffic stop of Abrego Garcia near Cookeville, Tennessee, about 70 miles east of Nashville, during which highway patrol troopers suspected him of transporting undocumented immigrants for money. A trooper ran Abrego Garcia's name, which by then was in a federal database of suspected gang members, and saw an instruction to notify federal authorities according to the highway patrol. But federal officials said there was no need to detain Abrego Garcia, the agency said, and the encounter ended with a warning issued to him for driving with an expired license. Acting U.S. Attorney Robert E. McGuire dwelled on the decision to release Abrego Garcia, asking Special Agent Peter T. Joseph, a 23-year veteran investigator on ICE's Homeland Security Investigations Unit, whether immigration enforcement then was the same kind of priority for HSI as it is today. No, sir, Joseph replied. Joseph said he was assigned to investigate the Abrego case on April 28th. Federal investigators appear to have revisited the incident after Abrego Garcia's deportation, put him at the center of a battle between the Trump administration and the federal courts. Prosecutors say Abrego Garcia told the Tennessee officers that he was transporting construction workers from St. Louis back to Maryland, but that license plate reader data and phone records showed his story to be false. During his questioning of Joseph, McGuire sought to portray Abrego Garcia as a danger to the community. It is a dangerous operation, McGuire told the judge, speaking of the alleged human smuggling operation. Joseph testified that multiple people are cooperating with the investigation. He said investigators obtained a list of the passengers from an officer who responded to the 2022 stop and had obtained information about at least 6 of the 9 passengers. All 6 were undocumented, Joseph said, from Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador. Department of Homeland Security officials have said the SUV that Abrego Garcia was driving was registered to another undocumented immigrant from El Salvador who has been convicted of human smuggling, identified as Jose Ramon Hernandez Reyes. During the hearing, McGuire alleged that Vasquez Sura and 2 of their children sometimes accompanied Abrego Garcia on the alleged smuggling trips. Defense lawyers said that was implausible, as both are special needs children and the trips are long and arduous. Vasquez Sura left the hearing without stopping to talk with reporters, and lawyers for Abrego Garcia said the family had no comment. Lawyers for Abrego Garcia tried to cast doubt Friday on the credibility of Hernandez Reyes and other government witnesses. He is a 2-time felon who has been deported 5 times, defense lawyer Richard Tennant said during his cross-examination of Joseph, apparently referring to Hernandez Reyes, though he did not name him. Sorry, the judge interjected. How many times? 5 times, Your Honor, Tennant said. In return for his testimony, Hernandez Reyes, who was recently transferred from prison to a halfway house, will be allowed to live temporarily in the U.S. instead of being deported to El Salvador, Joseph said. He has not been given work authorization yet, but that's probably something that's coming, Joseph said. McGuire has argued in a court filing that Abrego Garcia meets the standard for detention because he is facing a lengthy prison sentence for the alleged smuggling scheme. Prosecutors argue that it could be up to 10 years for each person transported, and then possible deportation to El Salvador, making him a flight risk. The government also says Abrego Garcia is a danger to the community and might intimidate or tamper with witnesses because, prosecutors allege, he is an MS-13 gang member. The Maryland police detective who initially made the gang allegations after a 2019 encounter with Abrego Garcia at a Home Depot parking lot was later fired and indicted over misconduct in an unrelated case, though the allegations were entered into a federal database. Abrego Garcia has been in the U.S. since he was 16 and has no criminal record in this country. Lawyers for Abrego Garcia say he should be freed, arguing that he doesn't pose a danger, has no criminal history, and is unlikely to face a long sentence. They describe him as a sheet metal worker and note that he has lived nearly half his life in Maryland. The government's forcible removal of Abrego Garcia to a nation where he feared for his life likely provides him fresh grounds for refuge in this country, his lawyers argue. Lawyers for Abrego Garcia said in court records that the government sent him to one of the most violent, inhumane prisons in the world, without any proceedings, and should not be allowed to detain him further. He is no flight risk, they said. All of his loved ones are here, his lawyer Dumaka Shabazz said. He has no incentive to flee. And he noted that Abrego Garcia has become so recognizable, where could he go? Abrego Garcia is one of at least 3 immigrants whom judges have ordered the U.S. government to return to the country. His return came shortly after the U.S. government allowed back into the country a man from Guatemala who said he feared persecution because he was gay. The Trump administration is asking U.S. District Judge Paula Sinas in Maryland to dismiss the lawsuit that Abrego Garcia's family filed over his wrongful deportation, telling the judge that the case should be moot because the government had complied with the court's order. Abrego Garcia's lawyers disputed that characterization, saying in a court filing that the administration had engaged in a 2-month campaign of deliberate foot-dragging and stonewalling to stave off contempt sanctions long enough to concoct a politically face-saving exit from its own predicament. Until the government is held accountable for its blatant, willful, and persistent violations of court orders at excruciating cost to Abrego Garcia and his family, this case is not over, his lawyers wrote. Sinis has yet to rule on the government's request. Thompson reported from Washington.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the wrongful deportation lawsuit that Kilmar Ábrego Garcia's family rightfully, legally, constitutionally, and lawfully filed against his wrongful illegal deportation should not be dismissed whatsoever. Just because you guys being the Trump administration brought him back does not mean you guys are off the hook. You guys disobeyed all the judges and illegally rerouted him to Tennessee so he could face bogus, illegal charges that, yes, he may or may not be convicted of. He may or may not have done. I am rooting for Kilmar Ábrego Garcia because he was a sheet metal construction worker, not convicted, nor was he doing the job that you Trump administration accuse him of. It's just a bunch of BS, if you ask me, of what you guys, the Trump administration, are doing. Honestly, if you ask me, you, Donald Trump, and all of your administration officials need to be arrested immediately for this illegal, wrongful, unlawful, lawlessness deportation, especially in violation of the court order. That is going to do it for this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update, ladies and gentlemen. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy fiercely. Secondly, if you want to make sure you're always up to date on all the things legal breaking reporting wise on the side of politics, please hit the bell icon as well as the all notification option. The bell icon is located directly beneath the screen here on the right hand side of the subscribe button. If you guys also want to make sure that you're always up to date on all the things legal breaking reporting wise on the side of politics, please follow me on my social medias that'll be linked down below in the video description. I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, as well as TikTok. Fourthly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the goal of 180 plus subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I'm saying 180 plus subscribers is because right after we reach and achieve the goal of 180 subscribers, we have more subscribers to reach and achieve. Right after we reach and achieve the goal of 180 subscribers. Fifthly, ladies and gentlemen, please stay positive, please stay safe, even though unfortunately I know it's hard for the majority of you at times to unfortunately stay positive during these unfortunate, illegal, induced darkness times caused by the illegal, unconstitutional Trump administration, Trump regime, and know that justice will prevail eventually correctly on the correct side of law despite Donald Trump and his illegal, unconstitutional regime and administration's illegal, unconstitutional executive orders, actions, and behaviors, and always look lastly for the points of light in today's unfortunate illegal induced darkness caused by the illegal, unconstitutional Trump administration, Trump regime. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, just because the Trump administration, the U.S. government, brought Abrego Garcia back, does not mean that they are in the clear of the district court's order as well as the Supreme Court's reaffirmation of the court's order to return Abrego Garcia. Because, ladies and gentlemen, here's why. All judges ordered the Trump administration, the U.S. government, to facilitate and bring him home to Maryland, to his home in Maryland, not reroute him to Tennessee to face charges. Until my next legal breaking reporting, video analysis update, and legal breaking reporting, ladies and gentlemen, please stay positive, and I look forward to talking to you in my next legal breaking reporting, video analysis update, and legal breaking news reporting.